WWE superstar Titus O'Neil, and today I'm coming to you as a neighbor. You owe it to yourself and those you love to get tested now. Get the care you need and protect your family. Hillsborough County is offering free coronavirus testing and no health insurance is needed. It costs you nothing to get tested. Visit hcflgov.net/staysafe for more information and have a reservation made today. Share this with a neighbor, and let's come together as a community and keep fighting to get through this. Together, we will come back stronger. God bless.
Hillsborough County, along with local and federal health experts, are encouraging residents to wear cloth face masks to cover their nose and mouth when in public to help stop the spread of COVID-19. There are not enough surgical face masks for everyone, and available ones should go to healthcare workers and first responders. It's easy to make your own face mask out of common household items. The CDC and U.S. Surgeon General say you can use an old scarf, bandana, or make one using a t-shirt plus 2 rubber bands. Cut part of the t-shirt into a square, fold it from the bottom to the middle, then from the middle to the top. Repeat those steps one more time, then add a rubber band to each side. Bring each end to the middle, then secure around your face. They should fit snugly but comfortably. Cloth face coverings should not be placed on children younger than 2 years of age or people who have trouble breathing. The CDC emphasizes that while wearing a face mask, you should still practice social distancing, stay 6 feet apart from others, and continue other preventative measures such as frequent hand washing. We encourage you to visit hcflgov.net/staysafe for up-to-date information.
Flossing in the morning is a really great way to keep your teeth healthy and start the day. But when you're through, here's what you do. Throw it in the trash, don't flush it. There's a problem lots of people don't know, called sanitary sewer overflow. A condition buried deep in the ground, inside a pipe where bad clouds are found. It's a problem we can all help solve, so throw it in the trash, don't flush it. Baby wipes, bandages, cotton pads, paper towels, dental floss, clog up bad. Medicines, kitty litter, cotton swabs, hair. Throw them in the trash, don't flush it. It just takes a second to do the right thing, so toss it and let's keep our pipes clean. Throw it in the trash, don't flush it. If it's not toilet paper, don't flush it. Even if it says you can, don't flush it. If you're having any doubts, don't flush it. One more time, don't flush it.
Hey everyone, did you know you could watch today's meeting live and on your smart device? Head on over to the Hillsborough County Meetings channel on the YouTube app. Click subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you can be automatically notified when Hillsborough County Meetings goes live. You can also browse any of our past meetings by swiping to the left and scrolling down. All that's left to do is just to click on a video. It's that easy!
This is a battle we've never faced in my lifetime. I want to tell you about 416 of the most amazing people. Every day I get to see their skill, professionalism, and dedication. Their commitment to protect and improve the health of everyone in Hillsborough County. The last 2 months, they've been on the front line of a battle with a very dangerous enemy, COVID-19. And they've risen to the challenge in the most amazing, heroic way. Everyone has contributed, sacrificing their personal life, which they put on hold. They're making a difference for everyone they help, and every day I get stopped and told just how amazing they are. I'm proud and blessed to work with them, my second family.
Is your local business or organization looking to give back to the community? Help keep our roads clean by joining the Adopt a Road program administered by Keep Tampa Bay Beautiful. Keeping our roads clean is a great way for team building as well as exposure for your business. Select the road your business wants to adopt and dispatch a team to remove litter and debris. Participants will receive 2 signs showing their organization's name as well as safety equipment and instructions for cleaning roads. You can help keep Tampa Bay beautiful by adopting your own road today. To learn more, visit hcflgov.net/cleanhc.
20 seconds is all it takes for a toddler to drown. In less time than it takes to post on social media or change the laundry, a child can slip out a door and silently drown. Nearly all the children who drowned last year in the Tampa Bay area were last seen inside their home. Visit PreventNeedlessDeaths.com right now to learn more about simple steps you can take today to save a child's life.
Hillsborough County has teamed up with the Department of Health and other public health and safety agencies to address any impacts the virus may have on our local community. To help prevent the spread of the coronavirus, here are a few tips you should know. Practice proper hand washing by using soap and water and wash for at least 20 seconds. Use alcohol-based hand sanitizer if you cannot wash. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Cough and sneeze into a tissue and throw it away. Clean, high-touch surfaces frequently. Some examples include doorknobs, credit and debit cards, cell phones, keyboard and mouse devices, and toilet handles. Stay home if you're feeling ill. If you have any flu-like symptoms, avoid contact with the public. Avoid sharing personal items in spaces with those close to you. Seek medical care early if you're feeling sick. Symptoms of the coronavirus can include fever, coughing, and shortness of breath. Seek medical care if you develop these symptoms or if you've been traveling or have been in close contact with a person who has traveled from an area with an ongoing spread of COVID-19. We encourage you to visit hcflgov.net/staysafe for up-to-date information and tips.
This is Dave. Dave doesn't know his home's flood zone and was not able to heed flood warnings. Dave and his home are soaked. This is Noah. Noah is an informed citizen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. It's right at noon. We'll go ahead and get started on our Parks, Recreation, and Conservation Advisory Board meeting for January 28th. We have 4 board members here, which is per the rules stipulated starting in 2021. We have to be here in person, so we have 4 here, and Jack is at home, so we'll go ahead and get started. Were there any public comments that we made aware of? Okay.
You look funny in those cages.
It is an interesting setup, but we appreciate them getting us someplace to be as safe as possible. I'm going to go ahead and drop down to the board action, approval of minutes. We have a couple of board members that might have to leave before the meeting is over, so I want to make sure I get through everything that we need to vote on. So, does anyone have any comments on the minutes?
I move we approve them.
Okay, second motion and a second. Any opposed? Okay, they pass. Next up is on the presentations area, the first item is update of board position openings. My understanding is that we have 5 board members now, is that correct, Allison? So Rick had to resign because of a position that he took, and I believe Harold has not been reappointed yet. So are those the 2 openings that we have right now? Okay, so if you want to speak with those commissioners and just let them know that we would appreciate them reappointing Harold, or if you have anyone else that you want to recommend, please let them know, so hopefully we'll be able to fill in more of the seats, because especially as we, still in this COVID state, people are uncomfortable coming in person. We have to at least have 4 here for every meeting. So if we have a situation where somebody can't come, then everyone needs to be able to come in. So, and obviously then we also want representation from every commissioner to be able to help out with the actual Parks Department itself. Any comments or questions regarding the board positions?
I just filled out my paperwork, so I think you're stuck with me on the 2 years.
They haven't finished your background check though, right, Jack?
That's true. I hope they don't find them on that one incident. I think it was you and I in that car in Ocala. I don't know. I'm making that up as I go.
Next on the agenda is election of chair and vice chair. So I am currently the chair, and Nathan is the vice chair. So just wanted to know if we had any motions to who you want to be chair again for this next year.
I would move that we keep them the same.
Yeah, okay.
I would second that.
Second that.
You fine with that as well?
Yep.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Do you know who the motion and the second are, Allison?
It was Jack, correct?
Okay. Jack was the motion, and
No, Joe was the
or Joe made the
motion.
motion, Jack made the
Jack
second.
seconded,
Okay.
Yeah.
And that being myself, remain as chair, Nathan as vice chair. Anyone opposed? All right. Next.
Allison, him giving Joe and I $20 each was okay, right? Now we're recording this.
Wait till you're through with your
They're recording the
background check.
video part too, Jack, so.
Anthony, I have a quick comment. When
Yes.
we're done eating, we have to put our masks back on, just so everyone's aware.
Say that again?
We have to put our masks on when we finish eating.
Okay. As soon as I stop talking, I will start eating again. Next thing is 2021 proposed meeting dates. Did everyone get a copy of the proposed dates? There are, per our bylaws, we need to have 9 meetings a year, or excuse me, 8 meetings a year. There are 9 on there, just in case for any reason that we are unable to have a meeting, or if we have a meeting that we don't have a quorum, which may not constitute as a meeting. So does anyone have any questions or comments, or ready to approve the proposal?
You said for the foreseeable future, we'll be meeting here.
I think that what we need to do is, and once we vote on the actual dates, we should probably have a little bit of a discussion regarding what our go-forward plan is. Probably a good idea at each meeting to talk about the next meeting, just so that we have a better idea. I mean, unless someone else wants to come up with another idea. But my view would be at each meeting, looking at what the next meeting is and say, where do you think we should have that? And I think once we get to a point where we're comfortable in just meeting at the old facility again and going back to more of the same structure, I don't know when that will be. But when we are comfortable for that, then we could probably move to that again.
Yeah, my understanding is as long as it's going to be hybrid, there's just a couple locations we can pick from. So we can't have it at our regular spot because they can't support this type of meeting at that location.
What is the other location other than this one?
There was a library option, and I think the other location was also somewhere in County Center.
Okay.
It's just different sized rooms. I'd have to look into it some more, but it wasn't an option to go to all people's at this time.
That's
Okay.
because of technology?
Yes.
So first, anyone make the motion that we accept the minutes that, or the
I'll make the
meeting
motion to
dates
accept those
and
dates.
that are proposed?
Second.
Go to second, okay. Any opposed? And then, is everyone comfortable in having it either here or the library?
Yes.
The library is just off downtown, right?
It was Saunders. I didn't get the final say in the location. I just made a request, and then they put us, well, I think what suits the group best. So I don't know if our group was just too small or something, why that first choice wasn't, because that was my first choice. So I could look into it more and see what, how they decide.
So is everyone comfortable that we have it, we try to have it at the library, just if it's available, and if not, do it here, or you prefer to do it here?
Either way.
It's fine,
Yeah.
either way.
Anyway, okay. So we'll talk about it after, and as you get additional information to see where our next meeting is, and then, as we said, we'll discuss it at each meeting. Next is the Lower Green Swamp Preserve Trail naming. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, wonderful.
Ross Dickerson's going to provide a quick update on this item. We're actually going to move this probably to April. Ross, do you want to give a quick description of the project?
Sure. So at our October ELAP meeting, the general committee asked us to look into possibly naming the chair for trail for Kent Bailey at the Lower Green Swamp Preserve, since he was active in helping that become county property. So we're currently working with the Sierra Club on a trail location and a mock-up plaque that we will bring back to the ELAP general committee at the March meeting, and then we will present to you all, hopefully at the April meeting.
Oh, I love that idea.
Jack, do you know Kent?
Oh, I do, yeah. He was, yeah, instrumental. It's been just about, how long? Ross, how long? Forever?
He's been a part of pushing for ELAP and other environmental issues in Hillsborough County since I started here in 2001.
I think it's probably close to 3 decades. Yeah. Maybe longer. We don't have any pushback at the ELAP meeting.
I don't think so. We put it on the agenda today because we thought that the Sierra Club would have some information for us. But when I went back and reviewed the ELAP General Committee video, they were specific that they want to see it first, and then we'll move for approval from there. So since it was on the agenda, we just wanted to give you all a little background, since it will be. Bring it up in April.
Okay. We'll see it then. Next is sponsorship update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll give you a quick update. Where we're at is we identified a vacant position that we're reclassified to be a program coordinator over our sponsorship program. It's in management and budget's hands right now, because we had to identify about $2,500 that we were short, because it was a bit of an upgrade from the vacant position that we had. As soon as we receive their approval, we will be posting that position so that we get somebody on board to really work that program and see what kind of funding we can identify. So it's something we're excited about.
Anyone have any comments or questions?
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing.
Yes, it's certainly something we've been talking about for several years now, so it'll be wonderful to have someone in that role in raising those funds.
We did include in the request that it was a priority of our Parks Advisory Board as well as some members of our executive team. So I appreciate your support, and I'm looking forward to trying something new. Thank you.
Allison, do we know, we're still in the midst of knowing how this workflow would happen, raising funds, fiduciary oversight of the funds, distributing funds, that's still in legal as well, right?
Right, we've worked with the county attorney's office on rewriting the Friends of the Parks agreement to include that.
Okay.
So that's the decision that's been made. So we've made a lot of progress. Dana and Chris Kitty from Forrest's team have spent a lot of time on this, and I think we're getting real close to, being able to get out and generate some revenue that I think we're leaving on the table. So I want to thank Aaron as well, because he met with the team and provided some great input.
Good.
Wonderful. Next item is reopening update.
Forrest, you want to go first?
Sure. So in terms of our conservation parks and our preserves, Apollo Beach Nature Park is reopened now at 100% capacity. I think the last time we talked, we were at 50% capacity. So everything's working out well there. All of our campgrounds are now at 100% capacity as well. We had them initially 50% capacity, but realized, pretty quickly that, due to demand, that we need to go ahead and reopen those at 100%. And from a safety perspective, there's greater than 6 foot distance between all of our campsites. It's somewhere between 10 and 15 feet. So, in terms of COVID exposure or risk, we're not, concerned about that at all. So we got approval to reopen E.G. Simmons, Edward Medard, and Lithia Springs back to 100%. And we haven't had any issues. The only thing that really remains closed at this point are our picnic shelters and the 2 environmental studies centers, one at Upper Tampa Bay Park and then the other one at Lettuce Lake Park. We do hope to get our picnic shelters reopened by late spring, early summer. Depends on, what the positivity rate is in the county, how the vaccines are going, but fully expect those to be reopened certainly by the summer, assuming that, the vaccinations start to progress as we think they will. The 2 buildings for our environmental programs, the one at Lettuce Lake and the one at Upper Tampa Bay, those will have to have a formal reopening plan that goes through our facilities department. So we're going to start very soon, within the next month or so, working with John Mueller and that group to ensure that all safety protocols are in place before we reopen those facilities. But my hope is that by late spring, early summer, we can reopen both of those as well. And outside of that, everything else has been open. I think people are very appreciative of having the parks to go to. And honestly, no complaints, no web mails, no phone calls. Everything's going very well. That's it.
On the Parks and Rec side, we've essentially opened everything at this point in some capacity. All of our amenities are open at our different parks, our skate parks, our dog parks. Our rec centers are open for programming in the morning and afternoon and evening. However, we are limiting capacity within our after-school program just to keep those group ratios low and with one coach in case there is a positive report. The staff they've done an unbelievable job. We haven't really ran into any problems with any of our parks. We do have a positive case reported from time to time, and we like to think we're just about experts on how to deal with that at this point. All the parents are always very understanding and keep coming back. So staff is doing a great job. We're pretty much completely open in some capacity in everything that we do. So that's our status.
Quick question, Rick, because I noticed that my mother-in-law actually got her vaccination at Advertisements Park. How many of our parks are being used for vaccination sites?
2 sites, including Advertisements, and we are working with emergency management right now to possibly do a couple more sites, mainly focusing on some of our senior population. For example, Northdale Park. We're working with them to see if we can schedule 2 or 3 days as vaccinations become available in that quantity, where they will just come in and like do all of our seniors at Northdale Park. As you know, we have the Owls out there. You know, they probably have 500 to 1,000 registered at any given time, and we would reach out directly through our staff and our partners to get our seniors signed up to come to Northdale Park and be vaccinated. So we're looking for more opportunities. The Ed Radis Park site is now a state operated site. Originally, we were assisting a lot with that, and there were some hiccups, as everyone knows, with the first vendor and even the second vendor. All the reports I'm receiving now is that they're running very well.
Any comments, questions?
I just was curious, have we had any staff positives, either side?
I was positive, so I'm one. I didn't track it at work, but me and my family went through it. And we have had several staff positive.
Yeah, same here as well. We've had 7 or 8 in the past, probably 3 weeks. But everybody's doing well. They've quarantined as they're supposed to. In addition, anyone who they were around has quarantined. But everyone's doing well at this point. I think we're down to 1 or 2 positives. So we're getting through it.
Great. Next is State of Youth Athletics.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just got a few things to share with everyone about athletics in Hillsborough County. I'll start off with a quick COVID-19 report. Basically, I would say all of our league partners have had some type of case of COVID come into their program. Basically starting March of 2020 and as late as yesterday, because I got a call yesterday with a case. So we came up with a protocol for the leagues to go ahead and follow, and the leagues have been doing very well when they get these cases or these exposures, and they're following it pretty well. And like I said, if it's a player and a team, and that player was with a team, that whole team is going off in quarantine for a certain amount of time before they could come back and whatnot. So the leagues have been doing really good. They're doing the best they can. We started a late season, of course, and we actually wrapped up football last week. That was a long extension there. So the leagues have been doing really well. My team is out there working with our partners on a regular basis. We're helping them with enforcement of masks and social distancing and the sanitizing. It's tough because some people look at us and say, we'll do what we want to do, but we're out there keeping a positive attitude and making sure everybody knows that we prefer them to wear a mask and try to be safe during this. And we've had some benefits from the CARES Act with athletics. We were able to go ahead and distribute cones to all of our partners to go ahead and help with directional, in one way, out the other. So we were able to give them cones. We provided sanitizer, digital thermometers and scanners, tables, plexiglass shields, masks, gloves, stickers for directions. We've done everything we could to assist our partners, and it's been going well. They've been using the items, and they've been holding up. Plus, we had the Johnny King contract, so we have all of our athletic complexes getting cleaned and sanitized 6 days a week. So that has taken a lot off the partners' shoulders going through these tough times. So the leagues have been really appreciative of what we have been able to provide and offer them. There's no questions about COVID-19. I'll jump into a quick review. All right, moving on to the review, just to give everybody a heads up. Athletic registration numbers as of December 2020, we had about 13,700 players throughout the county playing in our leagues. That with about just under 2,000 volunteers at 50 programs. We have 55 partners that are, or leagues that are going on right now. 5 of them chose to hold off until now to try to start up a program. 5 decided just to take the 2020 off. So, you know, the numbers are not bad. They're not where we usually are, but they're definitely not bad considering what we started experiencing in March. A lot of the leagues have been doing a lot of alternative type of programming just because of what can be done and what can't be done. You know, there's a lot of skills and drills and training going on for a good portion of the, you know, end of the summer into early fall, and then fall, winter, basically they got into some league play. Like I mentioned earlier, football, who is usually done by the end of November, you know, extended all the way to the end, you know, near the end of January. So they've been flexible, and things have been going well. When it comes to other activities going on at our complexes, facility and field rentals are booming. You know, we have approximately 76 different organizations or travel ball type programs on our fields throughout Hillsborough County. And they're renting the fields from us. So it's not like they're just coming on. You know, there's a fee for them to be on the fields and an application process, and they're you know, basically doing the whole process to get approved. And quickly, we have 3 adult soccer programs, 7 youth spring football programs, 1 baseball academy, 2 kickball leagues, a softball league, 2 multi-sport programs. We have 22 charter school or private schools on our fields, and we have 3 high school lacrosse programs. And then we have our new program that we started up late last year, Team HC, specialty sports program. And that program is basically directed to the travel, baseball, and softball world. You know, we always have that competition with recreation versus travel. So we came up with a program to go ahead and make sure that these travel ball teams had an opportunity to get on our fields and do it the right way. Not to go through the league and sublet or just find fields and go on there unauthorized and just play. So we came up with a program. We altered our fees using our fee schedule, the specialty sports schedule fee, and it has been a complete success. We're up to 35 travel baseball teams at 8 designated rental sites, and then there's some others that are peppered in at our agreement holder sites if the fields aren't being used. We do have another 12 teams that are pending right now to the next season because we've set the program up in seasons. So we have 5 seasons a calendar year, and they basically come in, they sign up, and I'll jump into the details about the program. We go ahead and for every season, it's 8 weeks long. They get 2 practices a week for 2 hours, okay? And the fee for them to do that is $300. That basically breaks it down to about $18.75 a day. And that's including the lights. And like I said, our clay crew and our maintenance side has been doing an amazing job keeping these fields looking good. Plus, we've had a lot of them resodded, and the fields are looking amazing, and the customers and the travel ball teams are very, very excited. They're happy, they're safe, and they look good, and the kids are having a great experience on our field. So very, very excited about this program. It's been a hit, and again, that fee is less than what we used to charge for a rental. So I think that's what helped get a lot of the travel ball teams to reach out to the county. Because I guess they always felt that we were like, we don't want to work with the county, boo the county. But now they're coming to us and they're talking with us, and we're getting them cleared. We got their insurance and everything, and we're letting them get on the programs. And we see less travel ball infiltrating the recreation sites. We still have that problem, and we're addressing it. And then I'll be talking about that in the next subject. So, and to wrap it up, I just want to talk a little bit about the positives with athletics. I know it was a tough year last year, but we definitely had some really good things happen. Revenue for the section has escalated tremendously for athletics with our new programs that are going on and the addition of so many new rentals. Looking at some statistics from 2018 to 2020, we averaged about, $60,000 a calendar year in revenue. I'm here to report today that we're not done with January, and not including a deposit that needs to be made today, we're at $20,000 for the month. So this has been really good when it comes to a little bit of revenue generation from this section. So that's a plus. We have been really working hard on addressing unauthorized use as well. We get a lot of folks get on those fields that have organized programs that just show up and basically take over a public use field or a regular field that should not be used because of programming. So the team has been going around, and I'll bring it up, we call ourselves the A-team. We grew. When I started that as an athletics manager, we had 2. And now we're up to 7 staff, and they are out there. We're out 7 days a week, morning through evening, patrolling facilities and checking on things and making sure everybody's doing it right. So I'm very proud of that. And the final thing I have is we just went ahead and wound up or wrapped up our first series of trainings. I'm doing trainings with the partners now, and we're hitting hot topics. And it's sort of like a reminder type session. Our first one we just wrapped up was ADA service animals and how we could go ahead and address a situation if somebody walks up to one of our complexes and the dog is out of control, but they say it's a service animal. 2 questions we could ask and how we could go ahead and basically maintain and monitor that. And we know our legal rights of what we can do. So it was a very good training with Carmen LeBeau, our ADA officer with Hillsborough County, and complete success. We got a very, very good feedback from the partners. So that's it for athletics right there. That's my wrap up.
I do have some questions, but I think they'll relate more to the next subject.
I actually got a couple real quick questions for Dave. He mentioned, Dave, you mentioned, and forgive me for not remembering exactly what this was in reference to, 76 organizations on fields. Are those separate from the field use agreements?
That is correct. Yeah, we have 76 organizations like a league or a program that are renting our fields throughout the county.
And that's the new $300 fee.
Of that 76, 35 travel ball teams as of right now are part of that program.
Got it.
That's not that's the $300 fee. Everybody else is paying the fee schedule price, which is $30 an hour.
Okay. All right. And then maybe this is a question for another time, but as far as the situation with the field use agreements is where are we with that? And I apologize, I wasn't at the last meeting, so are we anywhere with that?
I know that's still the new field use agreement is still pending right now, so there's really no activity going on at this time. So everybody is sort of a month-to-month type basis until we feel the time is right to go ahead and revisit that.
And that's because of the COVID, because of the pandemic?
Correct.
All right.
Jack, you had your hand raised?
Yeah, I think the most exciting thing there is that people are directly contracting with us. That's the best news I've heard in years. I think that's what I want to hear. I mean, I'm less worried about, I'm glad we're getting some revenue, and helps cover our costs. But the main thing is we're getting the paperwork. That's been the thing that scares us, is that liability, that knowing who's there and what are they doing, and are they doing their background checks? And that's, you had me at that, you should have stopped. So that's great news.
Yeah, well, I could say right now at this point, everybody, when it comes to insurance, we're at 100% compliance with insurance, and now the emails are going out to go ahead and collect those other items. But yeah, very proud of that.
Yeah, I had one other point, but I'm going to wait till we're finished with this, Anthony.
Okay, so let's move to the travel baseball softball update.
Yes. Okay. what, like I had mentioned earlier, we've had that problem. I wouldn't say it's a bad problem, but we've had that problem or issue of our agreement holders on the baseball and softball side running programs, and per the FUA, it's strictly a recreation program, okay? And what has happened is we've some of the leagues have sort of moved away from that because they tell us that, well, travel ball's here and they're stealing our kids. And how can we compete? You know, if we could offer a recreation program and we can't take kids to tournaments and we can't do this and we can't do that. So we found out through individual meetings with all of our baseball and softball partners that there was some type of this going on in their programs. So to go ahead and try to work with them and help them comply. And let me add, a lot of the affiliations for baseball, Dizzy Dean, Little League, and Cal Ripken, Babe Ruth, their focus is recreation. You know, so there's really not a competitive ball component to them except for Cal Ripken. They have a advanced baseball, but that is still considered recreation. So what we've done is we've come up with this program, and it's pending. It's called the Hillsborough County Competitive League Program. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to allow our partners in the baseball and softball world to have a competitive component to their program. But they're going to have to follow the guidelines that we have set. You know, so recreation is still the major focus at the program. So, you know, as an example, basically, for an 8U division, 8 to 10U, they need to have a minimum of 4 recreation teams to have 1 competitive team. But competitive is open for everybody. So it's not like a league can just bring a travel ball team in and say, here's our competitive component. No, that's not the case. Everybody that's enrolled in that program is eligible to try out, you know, for that competitive select, however you want to call it, team. So we set in guidelines. Bottom line, we're going to have schedules. We're going to have registration that's going through the program. Everything is going to be traced and followed by the county, and the guidelines must be met to go ahead and allow this a baseball program to have this. So it's going to help them to keep their kids in, because I hear a lot that, you know, the kids started at T-ball, and as soon as they hit 10, they want to go to travel ball because they want to do more. So if we could go ahead and give them this component, you know, to go ahead and allow these kids maybe to stay with them and get a little more competitive play or action while they're out there on the park, it's a good thing. Again, focus is recreation. So the percentages, you know, I'm just going to pull out my cheat sheet right here. You know, bottom line is, you know, we want to go ahead and make sure recreation is the focus. Recreation gets first call on the schedules in the fields. Then, if there's anything left over, then that's where the competitive program will go ahead and fill in the gaps. You know, so, you know, we are putting emphasis on recreation, bottom line. And let's see here. I gotta pull up one other sheet here. I know I'm missing something. Rick, if you have anything to jump in on while I pull this sheet up, please do.
Yeah, Dave, I think it's important to explain to the board that there's 3 options on addressing the one you're mentioning is just a recommendation from the athletics team and all of us who have met, but there's 3 different options. The first option is to require for everyone to follow the affiliation that they're registered with and not have any travel ball going on at the site, at least during the season. And then we could look at permitting travel ball to take place on the sites, you know, in between seasons. The second option is the hybrid plan, as Dave mentioned, where we would allow 1 competitive team per age division. What that would do is it would, you know, give the leagues the ability to offer some form of competitive ball while keeping recreation the priority. And that really aligns baseball with the way soccer operates, because in all the youth soccer programs, there is recreational and competitive. However, that format, that structure is supported by U.S. Soccer and the affiliation that all of our soccer groups follow. The difference is baseball affiliations do not really recognize travel ball. So essentially, all the leagues have some form of competitive or travel ball within them right now that they're doing at the sites, and they're essentially out of compliance when they're doing that. Because our facility use agreement requires for them to be affiliated with an approved affiliation, and none of those affiliations recognize travel ball. So these are things that the athletics team has discovered by engaging our partners. Like as Dave mentioned, they've met with every baseball and softball organization to get input and flat out told them, look, we know this is going on. Just tell us how you're doing it. Tell us what you're doing so we can work together to come up with something that we think will work. And then the third option would be that, we're completely hands off and we allow the leagues to do whatever they want, and it essentially turns into a private business at that point, and that is not something that we're recommending. So we feel like option 2 is probably the path of least resistance, because the leagues are going to resist if we come in and flat out tell them that they cannot do any form of travel ball when they've been doing it for years. It gives us the ability to have some control over what's going on, and that's making sure that recreation registration takes place first, the schedule is created and approved first. Competitive will require an open tryout for any kids that live in the community or are in the league. It needs to be a fair and transparent tryout process, and leagues will not receive the permission to have a competitive team until it's vetted by us. So we're open for recommendations from you guys. That's why we're bringing this up. We kind of wanted to get a feel from the board. We know a couple of you guys have been very involved with youth baseball. Some of you have just been involved with Parks and Rec in general for a really long time. So as always, we want your input.
Well, I'll mention a little bit. I think it's a great idea, and I think the oversight and the organization that you guys have put together is great. I think there's a need for it. I agree rec comes first, but there's certainly a need for some competitive component. What's the timing on the implementation of this program?
Well, as we said, so pretty much what Dave has told the leagues is that, we're about to send out a letter letting everybody know that there shouldn't be anything taking place on your complexes right now until all your spring registration numbers are submitted and a schedule is sent up to us for approval. Once that is approved, then of course you can start, spring activities. There are some leagues that have reached out and have received approval to have some travel ball out there, workouts. So the implementation would be as soon as we can get it all together and roll it out. We're going to start monitoring recreation versus travel ball now. Okay. We're not going to be allowing travel ball to overrule recreation anymore, because that's what's happening at a lot of the leagues. We've had several league presidents resign within the last few months because we're putting the pressure on, asking a lot of difficult questions, and they don't like the pressure. Next thing you know, we're receiving a resignation letter because we asked the right questions. So the only way we're able to do this and clean this up, because a lot of unauthorized use that was going on out there, is by having the staff out there and paying these visits and everyone communicating. And just like we hear the sheriff all the time, if you see something, say something. Yeah. Like, don't just drive by and wonder why there's a game going on that field, or a practice going on, pick up the phone and call Dave or Roland or Bernard or one of the other members of the athletics team, and they're out there and they will drive by that place and ask questions. As Jack mentioned, most importantly, we need people in compliance. We can't have unauthorized tryouts and tournaments taking place on our facility and people not even telling us. Like, we find these things on social media, because that's another thing that our team is really good at, and we're having to roll out there and shut these things down. These are groups that are doing large events or even practices on our fields with absolutely no insurance. We don't know if any of their staff has been background checked. Quite frankly, we don't even know who they are. And every time one of these leagues go down, 6 teams would reach out to us and say, oh, we just want to do it right. So it's going on everywhere. I am a big proponent of rec ball in the leagues. From a Parks and Rec perspective, those complexes, they bring so much to a community, those little leagues, than just the game itself. You know, they're very important to have. It's very important to keep it recreation the priority. But giving the leagues an opportunity to have that competitive component, I think sort of levels the playing field a little bit for them, because we don't want kids continuing to leave these leagues and find the next travel ball team to play on. But we would roll that out as soon as possible, to answer your question, Aaron.
Thanks.
Anyone else have any other comments or questions?
And if I may add, as we roll into that, you know, we'll have finalization here in the near future. We'll have a date set, and then we'll go from there. And then we're going to throw in a campaign to advertise and promote rec sports, because I think we need to go back and really build off what Rick said about our parks as community hubs, and just, you know, offer assistance to our partners advertising recreation play. So we're going to be working with communications, and we're going to get this campaign out and roll out, and just let everybody know, if you know what, you may not be the next Alex Rodriguez or whatnot, but if you just want to come and develop and learn and have some fun at one of our sites, we have that site for you. Come on down. We want to encourage families and children to come to our site. So excited about that as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment, because I've had 2 kids, a son and a daughter, who've started in Pee Wee and Little League and worked their way all the way through the program and into high school. So I certainly understand that we're wanting to find the balance, because a lot of these parks are doing travel ball anyway. I think that, to the point you're making about a lot of people resigning, at least my experience is that most of the boards, even the little leagues, are made up of parents that also are heavily involved with travel. So that's why a lot of the stuff happens at the parks, because they're the ones that are initiating a lot of it. So my concern, couple things. Number one, on this competitive program, because I'm only familiar with Little League. I'm not as familiar with the other programs. So I'm just curious as to what Little League's view is of it, because they're very disciplined about having teams and then an all-star team at the end of the year. And it sounds like if you have a competitive team, that's your all-star team. And they do not want all-star teams even announced until late, even though a lot of programs, what they do is they go and have a travel ball team, so it's really outside of the program. So I just have a lot of questions about how it all works. So I'd be very curious to see what the final proposal is, just so that I can kind of understand how it works. I don't want to spend a lot of time in this meeting doing that, but if I could review that, and if anyone else wants to do that too, just let, I guess, Rick know or Dave know. But if I could please see that, just so that I can provide some input or thoughts or things to make sure that we've considered everything regarding the programs.
Understood. And just, again, those affiliations, we encourage, they have to follow the affiliation guidelines when they're running their program. So, yeah, totally agree. We have the proposal, and we're glad to get that out if you want to take a look at it.
Okay. All right, there's no other comments or questions on that. Next thing is athletic field renovation maintenance update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will share a PowerPoint presentation here. All right, can you all see that?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so this is just an overview of the budget and the field sodding that we've done to level the playing field and get everybody on a safe Bermuda grass surface for the most part while they're playing and practicing, and then possibly a nice Bahia grass while they're out there practicing. Just so you know, just going through some of the details, I've done due diligence. I'm trying to remove as many numbers as I can out of this, but at the end of the day, this is really what it comes down to. So stop me if you have questions, please. It is detailed, but I've left it as little detail as possible to transmit the full flavor of everything through to you so you know. So, all right. So in general, county has 223 fields. That's all encompassing. That includes every practice site. It includes every synthetic field we have now. It includes fields that were under league care, and it includes fields that were under nobody's care and were just sort of open multi-purpose fields that some of these leagues were practicing on at this point. So when we started all of this, we had 0 fields that the county took care of. 218 approximately that were under league care, and that is, obviously you all know, was in varying levels of league care. 0 what we call transition or practice fields, you'll see why I'm calling them that later. And then synthetic fields, we had 5. Current conditions at this point, I'm proud to say we have 100 fields that we have either transitioned or completely resodded using World Sports, and we're very happy to have completed that. Latest one was just done 2 or 3 weeks ago, so we are really at a point where we're very close to everybody being on a beautiful Bermuda grass surface at this point. Currently, fields that are under league care are 64. We know of, after inspecting all of them, that there are 13 fields that need sodding. And then currently the practice or the transition fields, if you want to call them that, are the ones that essentially have no care on them, but we know have the amount of kids and the need on them. 8 of those need to be sodded at this point for a total of 21 fields that we think need sodding or complete rehab up to a Bermuda grass premium surface. And then currently at this point, we just completed 2 synthetic fields, the second field at Skyway and a brand new field down in Waimama. And we have 9 more pending in an ITB, an invitation to bid, that will hopefully come out in the next 4 months or so. Our chemical contracts overview, just so you know, first contractor on the top, we put those bids out when we got the operational money back a few years ago. We have JSM, which is our chemical and cultural practice contractor. That's a $7.13 million contract that basically cares for all the pests, all the weeds, and then any of the top dressing, verticutting. Those are the cultural practices we're talking about. World Sports, to the tune of $9.28 million for sodding and sprigging. Often, because it is quicker to return to play, we go with sodding, but we have used sprigging in the past on some of the, let's just call them bring back fields that were almost there and did not need a whole lot of grading. We sprigged them if we had the time. And then again, in the same contract, part of above, because we were not able to get staff in quick enough, we were sodding some of these up fast enough that we have World Sports at the same time that is helping us mow. End of the day, we want our own staff mowing all of these fields twice a week, and they can also inspect the fields for irrigation issues, wear issues to help Dave and his crew out, and athletics if they need to move their games around or their practices around and wearing spots out, and then also JSM at the same time. So those same mower crew that we have out there, we want them looking at the condition of the field at the same time to see if we need to tweak any of these contracts and add an additional aeration, top dressing, that kind of thing. And then lately, just a few days ago, we had an irrigation contract that we were able to bring to the board and get approved as well too, because you'll see in a second, that becomes, will become a big issue. So any of this Bermuda can go sideways on you, if anybody knows about Bermuda, in 2 to 3 months at the most, 2 to 3 weeks if it's really dry, there becomes issues. And irrigation is critical on that. Fields under county care currently at this point are 100. Again, we have JSM on all the chemical contractual, taking care of the actual grass, fertilization, all of that. World Sports at this point is currently mowing 28 of those, again, because of us not being able to hire staff. We did an additional 10 fields at the end of last year. Are currently, because of the temperatures, the grass is not growing that much. We've turned the mowing contract with World Sports down to 0. But those 10 fields will come into play this spring again, depending on the weather, how quickly that happens. And we'll either need staff or World Sports contracts to mow those if we can't get the people quick enough. We do have a few extra mowers. Most of you all saw those at the field use agreement meeting that we had. We currently have 5 staff that are out there mowing. They can and did mow 72 fields at the end of last year. That is twice a week. It includes travel time, any kind of service on the machine, all told. It's 2 people per crew, and they go out and basically mow those with those high-speed floating rotary mowers. And we do have 2 openings, if you know anybody, for techs to mow as well too. So that'll bring us up to 7 staff and help us cut down on some of that World Sports contracting at that point. Because even when World Sports does go out and mow, we have to go out and inspect their quality of cut, and then we have to go look at everything I said before in the irrigation and the contractors' field use and all that, just to make sure everything is okay. Current cost of care at this point is $2.976 million, all told. Our budget, I will tell you, you'll see in a little bit, is $3 million. We were very fortunate at the beginning. We had 0 maintenance cost, and we were able to sod like crazy and not have to suffer the cost of maintenance. At this point, we are at the tipping point where the maintenance is caught up with all the sodding, and it is, at this point, we need to slow down on the sodding. We're pulling back, looking at everything and see how many this year we can actually do before we could do almost as many as World Sports would allow us to do. Fields under lead care, just to summarize the places, I'm not going into the actual details of every field, but the ones we have left are only, 7 or 8 there. Bloomingdale, Eber, Ed Radis Soccer and Baseball, Fishhawk, J.C. Hanley, Oscar Cooler Soccer, Vance Vogel Baseball, and Citrus Park. 13 of those, like we said, we know that need resodding and rehab at this point. Rest of them are in good shape to take over, basically. So our budget, as I alluded to earlier, $3 million, mostly all contracts at this point. We have 5 staff, they mow 72 fields, 2 incoming, and then we have 2 supervisors that are mainly engaged in monitoring the contracts. JSM, for instance, it's not a performance-based contract. It is a schedule of treatments. We generally know what we're going to do, but we can turn those treatments up or down as the field needs it to save us money and to save the field as well. It's not just a prescribed amount, but we turn those up and down, and those supervisors do that. They will engage with the new irrigation contractor that's going to come on board, and they supervise the staff and the schedules and interface with Dave and his crew as well too, as far as care. Just to give you a picture of, just say when we're all done, just so we can look at numbers in a second, what we would have would be 16 synthetic fields, that's 7 plus the 9 that are pending, 164 premium Bermuda fields, and then 34 practice fields. Practice field basically is a Bahia field that's level, playable. You all played on Bahia before. It's in general sort of a thicker, stolen kind of grass, not quite as, not as cushiony and not as playable as Bermuda. Couple of lessons learned or unforeseen issues when we waded into this contract. At first, we had just sod on the contract. We were going to go in and just sod all these fields, and everything was going to be great. And we found out right off the bat, if you look at this picture, you can see the 3 circles. I'm not sure if my mouse is going to show up, but the 3 circles on this field, those were the 3 irrigation heads that this field had to begin with. So obviously it's not going to cover any of the infield, any of the skirts, nor will it cover the outfield. So we needed about 10 more heads to get this coverage in on this field. That was one huge issue we had to deal with that slowed everything up. And then the second part is that the clay was different on every single field. Some of these were mounted up 1.5 feet. Some of these were low, most of them high, and it had to be graded, taken away, set to the side, laser grade everything off, and then bring it all back. And you can see this one as well too. There were no clear running paths of clay, so that had to be added back in as well too. Just to go over the future budget. So we have 99 additional fields. That's the fields that the league currently takes care of. If we took the chemical control over on those, and the ones that are not sodded yet, that adds up to 99 fields, with 72 fields being mowed by 5 staff at the end of the year. We get to 14 fields average in a week twice with the crews. So that comes out to 7 staff. We have 2 incoming, so that basically brings us down to 5 staff needed. We do know the irrigation is quite comprehensive and to oversee the contract on that and multiple other irrigation controllers and systems we have in the county. We have no one person looking at irrigation at this point. We would like an irrigation worker to supervise the contract and those systems up to par. All of them, in the end of the day, which you'll see in a minute, will be computerized, but still takes somebody looking over that. So that's a total of 6 staff needed. And again, contractual costs, 72 of those fields need to be cared for. Our general cost of care through JSM is $24,800. That leaves me a little bit of money to resod and has some costs to cover some irrigation costs as well, contractually in there to readjust heads, replace heads, run it, likely by a contractor, sometimes by staff. And that total cost is $1.785 million at this point, and that's an ongoing cost. So we'll talk about ongoing and we'll talk about capital, which is in general one time if it's not a vehicle. Promise you we're getting down to the end. Future construction costs. So these are your one-time costs we're talking about. There are 21 fields. In general, these fields are varied sizes, but if you divide it all out, in general, each field is $61,800 to sod up. Remove the clay if needed, or if it's a big soccer field, it's bigger. So they all have issues. And then we think as well too that there are 32 practice fields that need varying degrees of a little bit of work. That would be maybe level off the whole field and put a little bit of hay down and water it. So I've basically put in $3,000 for those 32 practice fields. One time for the most part, there'll be a little bit of ongoing maintenance, but that's $96,000 for a grand total of $1.393 million. And then here's where everything comes together at the end. To sod those 21 fields, as 2 slides ago it was, there's $1.39 million. That's a one-time cost. Care for those fields, ongoing, 72 new ones is $1.785 million. 6 staff. In general, that's in equipment is $772. $109,305. If that is capital, we can amortize that out over 7 years. Most of that equipment lasts as trucks, trailers, and mowers, some weed eaters and edgers as well. But I'm calling that capital just to keep it simple. And then the current care for those 72 fields at this point is $1.7 million, and that might go up at some possible rate. Grand total $5.79 million. Then I sort of breeze past through. At the end of the day, we have $3 million in the budget. Capital shortfall is $1.69 million. That's that one-time cost to sod up and get the equipment in-house. And then the ongoing budget shortfall is $1.03 million because we only have $3 million basically ongoing. So that would be the cost to basically encompass, after we construct the orange price above, that's the additional cost we would need in the budget to take those over from the leagues. And the benefit we've seen so far, you all have heard about some of the presidents moving on and issues is there as well. End of the day, if we concentrate on the grass and the turf care on these sites, the leagues can concentrate on running their leagues and don't need to worry about all the day-to-day things that go into keeping the grass up. They also don't need to worry about charging back to somebody or finding people to pay on the side that, for the care of it. It just smooths everything out, lets people focus on running their leagues, and the county basically has the keys and can make sure the recreation ball, for the most part, is held to the top. You all had asked about the FUA status, which paused due to COVID. We did pause the cost recovery as well. All leagues are month to month. We may have leagues sign a new FUA after vaccinations take hold. We'll talk about that in the future and how that goes. As part of that FUA, to add to Dave's sort of state of the union with athletics, last night we had a meeting with TBYFL. In the past, TBYFL had 8 to 9 different FUAs. At some point also in the past, and was just currently, they had one FUA and they were underneath one affiliation, but we did not sort of have the records of each of the groups, and they didn't have their own FUAs. When we went through the FUA process with the county attorney, it basically said that that is akin to subletting. It needed to be changed. And last night we had a meeting with TBYFL with all of the new presidents, which are basically the athletic directors for each site. And they will actually be getting their own FUA short term, because everybody's on a short term. Moving forward, we'll get full reporting, we'll get full financials through them. They'll have their own maintenance contracts where they can ask for services on their sites going forward. Dave's going to set those up here soon with each president, and we'll get those short-term agreements out to them. They'll still be affiliated with TBYFL. Nothing will change that way. Real quick, Dave was saying that there's a possibility at this point we're tracking at 300% rental increase, which is quite amazing. But one of the fields I told you just got finished sodding about 2 weeks ago was Skyway. That was one of the fields that went from mostly travel ball to now one of our newest rental sites. And we have a waiting list of people to get on that as well. We also have North Lakes, Progress Village, which has football and baseball on it, Dover, and Reuben Patchett that we have is strictly rental sites that we can put these groups on if we want to move them out of any of the field use agreement holders. Some of the field use agreement holders have had issues in the past where the travel ball people were sniping their best players. We've talked about that in the past. Some other contracts we've gotten in the next, I would say, 4 to 5 months at the most. We have a brand new contract that just that went through procurement. Didn't even have to go to the board. It was so small. It will pay us back. It's like computerized light control. No more will the lights just come on by timers. You won't have switches to push anymore. Every league, everybody, even renters, will have a mobile access to turn the lights on and off. That's through Outdoor Link. We'll be able to issue a renter a week's worth of on and offs, and they'll be able to click it on and off on their phone, which is great. If they don't show up that night because it's raining, the lights won't come on, and they'll be able to turn it on and off within their sandbox. Some of you already have this, maybe Keystone, I'm not sure, but if it's after 11 p.m. or before 5, it won't come on for you at all, which is great. That's the sandbox. You're able to turn it on and off within that time period, but not after. Every site that we do, when we sod it, gets computer controlled irrigation, saves us a ton of time running out there, and keeps us up to date on exactly how everything's running. And then LED retrofit, you'll know we had gotten $4 million to update our sites. The picture in the background, if you looked at Skyway, that's the first site that got it. And then by the $4 million, the rest of that will go to Ed Radis, and we will be done with that. We'll be asking for more in the future for those lights as well too. The spillover's better, the lighting's better. The downtime is better. All of that works out really well.
Greg, since you were on technology, I know there was a discussion a while back about cameras. Did we ever look again at adding cameras at any of the facilities?
We did. James's crew is working on that right now. So our plan to roll out the cameras basically goes like this. It's going to do all synthetic fields first, and Skyway was our test, and it is installed and working now. Waimama is next. That's one of our newest fields at this point. When we built that field, we built the infrastructure for the cameras, and they're out there with contractors right now installing everything. And we'll work our way through the last 7 of those. As well, through the CARES Act, we were able to get piggybacked on streaming services for possibly 5 sites. We're working out the details right now with procurement, and we're going to piggyback off of the Sportsplex. They got streaming, so you'll be able to watch from home or your car. And the way that piggyback works is that any streaming account that is on our, like just say our 5 highest used sites, the county will get 30% and the vendor would get 70% of those streaming costs. We'd be able to watch games, coaches could review tape, and all that. So those cameras will be additional as well. But yeah, we're working our way through the 7, and then as things go, we'll go a little further as well. It just depends on the budget.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Strategy. So we're bringing this to you today to sort of to talk a little bit through the strategies at some point. Do we currently stay how we are now? Do we want to, as far as the board goes, move forward and bring the care of the fields underneath the county? That will obviously cost some funds, as I've shown. Do we want to, transition it in a certain period of time? There's multiple issues as far as consideration goes on how that's done, how the turnover's done. There have been many leagues lately that have asked for influxes of treatments from us because they were canceling registrations, didn't have the funds to take care of either staffing or cost to keep their turf up. So that's something to consider as well too. We are out there inspecting the quality of the turf, and we don't want it to go bad, because then you're into the basically $61,000 additional for each field if somebody was to let it go, and it goes backwards. And I'll open it up to questions of any kind at that point. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for Greg?
That was pretty comprehensive.
Yep.
I assume our maintenance contracts include the synthetic fields as well, as far as combing and whatever we have to do on those stupid.
Yeah, we sweep those depending on use, in-house, and then there is in order to extend the warranty up to 10 years from 8, we have a 1 time a year contract with AstroTurf, where they come in and do a deep cleaning and basically sanitize everything. And if you do that with them, about the tune of $10,000 per field, I believe, it extends the warranty, which is great. So yes.
Were you looking for board action today on where to go with that when you were looking at the strategies?
Yeah, with the strategies, we were basically asking for your advice on which way to go. We do know that we would have to put some decision units in for additional funding. We just want to talk through options with you moving forward, let you know where we were, and get your advice.
Because that was a lot to digest.
Yeah, that was going to be my question, is if you could send that PDF to us, and especially if you do have some suggested strategies beyond that, to send it to us as well so that we could review it for the next board meeting, unless there's something you need us to approve today.
Allison can throw that up on eDocker too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need an improvement today. Really, we want to be upfront and transparent of what our current costs are, where we are with all the field renovations, and just kind of prepare you guys moving forward that this is going to be the decision unit that we submit during the budget process. I don't think there's any other way to go except for us to continue to take over the maintenance of these fields. That was our original plan that we set out to do. The team, they've done a great job. It's been very successful. The fields, I don't know how often you guys get out there. The fields are looking amazing. As problems pop up, we're able to address them. I mean, we've come so far in a very short period of time, getting all these contracts in place. It just blows my mind that we've never had all of this stuff in place, from something as simple as an irrigation contract. And we've made a lot of headway. We've been working really hard with the procurement department to get all this stuff in line, and we're essentially almost there. I know when we see like that $1 million number, it looks like a big number, but it's really not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. When you got to think about, we're maintaining over 200 fields throughout Hillsborough County. So we will share that information with you and give you some time to digest. We haven't even started the budget process yet, but we're just trying to get a head start on what's gonna come and keep you guys up to date.
Thank you. Aaron is heading out now. Thank you very much. Well, next thing up is tree planting events. I know, Allison, you had a tree planting event today, right?
I did, yeah. I was out this morning. We were out with Keep Tampa Bay Beautiful. It was part of the, Rick, is it the NFL Green grant or program? NFL Green?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. You can tell us more about it, Greg, because you know more than me about the trees.
Sure. You do know we got some tree fund, which is great, but today's event was the NFL Green and Keep Tampa Bay Beautiful. NFL Green is doing all kinds of plantings throughout the entire county and the local area of the Super Bowl. And we planted 49 different fruit trees. There's going to be an orchard out there and a demonstration garden at Mango Park. There's about 30 different kinds of trees, from jackfruit to mango to papaya and guava and sapote and lychee and many other ones. They'll all have signs. There'll be a main sign out there as well. And there will be some ongoing camps at the rec center as well too that will engage with that of the care and possibly harvest some of the fruit and all that as well too. But each one will have a name and how you can grow it at your house as well too. And in total, as far as tree plantings go, you probably have seen a lot of them. Orange Grove is our latest and greatest one. We have about 950 trees we planted this year with that contract. And we're working with the university, just met with them yesterday, and got our final, which we'll bring it back to you at some point, our final data from all the tree studies in the entire park system for the county. So we'll share that with you in the future.
Next is the AED update. James?
So the county is getting ready to go out for bid on AEDs as a county as a whole. So we have secured $16,000 for this year to buy additional AEDs, and we will be able to do that as soon as that contract is put into place. That's being put in place by risk management, and they will actually be monitoring the contract as far as supplies are concerned, making sure that batteries and paddles are up to date and get swapped out for the AEDs that already exist, plus any new ones that are brought on board. They also track all the AEDs for the county by serial number and by make and model to ensure that if the end of life has come for that particular one, that they get with the department to ensure that they put money in the budget for the next year to get those replaced. So,
what coverage will that give us once we spend that $16,000?
So it depends on what they negotiate, obviously, the pricing to be. They're trying to kind of emulate the Orange County AED contract that they have with Ultra Medical. And if they're able to duplicate that, we'll be able to obtain AEDs for around $800 each for the ones that can actually be kept out more in the weather than just the smaller ones that are only for inside use only.
That's everything I've listed under presentations. Anything else in that category? If not, we already did board action and approved the minutes. Any additional board member comments?
I have just one thing, Anthony. I've
Yes,
been
Jack.
holding off on, and this is really for Rick and Forrest to think about. We should start, or you guys should start, not we, should start thinking about these vaccinations in a I won't say post-COVID world, because COVID is never going anywhere. We're going to implement it at AccuSoft, that people are not going to be allowed in our building without proof of vaccination, starting probably midsummer. Right now, the buildings are closed. We can do things because we're not government that you can't do, of course. You're forced by state law, but I think we should start thinking about, are we going to be tracking vaccination? Are you going to be having different sets of rules? Are you going to allow, I don't know, the schools had better figure this out as well, but that's not our problem. Are we going to allow non-vaccinated people to mix with vaccinated people, et cetera? So I just think it's a policy issue for all of Hillsborough County that you better start thinking about, because I think it's going to take you months and months to settle on it. So it's just urging you to raise that at the highest level and think about it.
Yeah, certainly, Jack, we'll do that. And, some of that will come down from HR at some point. I think a lot of this will become clearer as we move late into the spring and early summer.
Yeah, because what we're doing is we are going to be tracking in our database proof of vaccination on every employee, vendor, et cetera, et cetera. As we post, right now our office is closed till, I believe, May 1, but post May 1, that's what we're gonna start doing that. Probably in another 30 days, we're gonna start gathering that information. I think I'm about the only one in my company old enough to get a vaccination just yet. So because I'm old as poop, but hopefully they're going to widen that up, and the distribution in the next 30, 45 days should get very widespread, I hope.
Any other board member comments?
Just that Forrest's team's doing a great job with that hiking spree that I've been doing a lot of hikes myself, and it looks like I see other people out there. I don't know what kind of turnout you have, but they're well marked and well maintained, and hopefully gives people a diversion during this time where they can get out in the fresh air. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this has been our most popular year overall, obviously because of COVID. People are taking advantage of getting out, and it's great too from certainly an ELAP perspective, because people are able to get onto preserves that they've never been to, and probably a year ago would never have imagined that they would go to. So it's really, I think, heightened the interest in at least in our department from both a conservation park and an ELAP preserve perspective.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to go visit the new Apollo Beach structure that they had out there and visit the whole facility. It was beautiful, and thank you for Forrest for all the insight regarding it as we were heading out there.
Absolutely. Glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I just got a quick note that we had over 6,000 people register this year for the hiking spree.
Oh, wow. Okay, any other communications, activities, or staff member comments? Okay, if not, then reminder that our next meeting is on March 11th. It is scheduled to be a hybrid meeting, and it'll be at one of these, either this particular location or at the library, and Allison will be communicating that out. And I do want to thank Allison. she's been doing a lot of work and trying to coordinate and go through this, and unfortunately, she's had to communicate a lot with me and trying to understand all that. So, but thank you for your assistance
You're
on that,
welcome.
too.
So yeah, my next step will be, now that we've confirmed the date, I'll submit it and then see what room they would like to put us in. So.
Great. And thanks to all the staff and everything in helping out with this for today. And with that note, we are adjourning at 1:21.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect.